group, Insulate Britain, has begun disrupting traffic this morning at the A40 in West London. We can see live pictures from our helicopter just coming into us there. They're also at a major roundabout in Dartford this morning. These are live pictures, and this news coming up into us in the last few minutes or so. Our correspondent, Greg McKenzie, is on the ground and hopefully can tell us some more. Greg, what's the situation?
Well, good morning. So Insulate Britain, I was one of the first journalists here this morning with Insulate Britain who have blocked the A40 here in West London. They're calling on the government to insulate British homes, starting with social housing first. They're saying to reduce CO2 emissions. Now, this is the 15th time Insulate Britain have carried out an action such as this, blocking the road. Many of them behind me have simply glued their hands to the ground. Now, the police are here, pretty much powerless to do anything. The towbacks go on for as long as the eye can see. Now, this road is an important road because it leads to Heathrow Airport, a few miles in that direction. Now, Insulate Britain say they're going to continue these actions until they are listened to, and are planning more actions later this morning. Now, many passengers getting out their cars this morning, visibly angry, swearing at the protesters and confronting them. One lady saying she's a doctor and she needed to get to hospital to treat her patients. She said this is no way to treat normal folk trying to get to work, and basically not happy with the protests.
This is the thing we've seen with previous protests, isn't it, Greg? We've seen the response from people who are disrupted by what's happening. What have the protesters said to you about why they're there, why they've chosen today and that particular point?
Well, they say they want to cause as much disruption as possible. They say they need members of the public to listen to this emergency, this climate emergency. And they say in the long term, all of us, despite this disruption for a few hours, will benefit. In 10 years' time, they claim we'll be looking back, thanking these protesters. I mean, but I'm not sure many people here trying to get to work will agree with that. But ultimately, there have been injunctions issued by National Highways were granted an injunction to prevent the protesters carrying out actions such as this. Even TfL, Transport for London, only this week granted an injunction to stop the protesters blocking these major roads in the capital. But the protesters have simply ignored those injunctions, and now they will potentially face jail once they are arrested. Now, the police are here and have readily admitted they're too short-staffed to move them off the road. So this disruption will probably last for at least a few hours here this morning until they're all arrested and cleared.
Greg, I wonder if you are able to get your cameraman perhaps to move the camera so we can see actually what the situation is with the protest that's happening live as we speak this morning. I don't know if you're technically able to talk to any of the protesters for us.
Can we spin the camera around? Can we move? We're on a tripod. Do you think you could lose the... I think we could probably try and get one of the protesters over.
Maybe let's hear from one of the protesters, Greg, see what they say.
We'll get the protest. If you grab Matthew, let's take the camera down. I don't think we can get too far. Let's go down here. So I think we're not really going to be able to, you're not going to hear them because I've only got one microphone. And it's on my jacket here. So let's go in and see if we can have a chat. Can I ask you why you're here from BBC News? Oh, in fact, BBC News, Matthew. So tell us why you're here today.
We're here as part of the Insulate Britain protests to raise the profile of the need to address carbon and fossil fuels in the housing stock in the UK.
Matthew, people were angry today. I've not seen them this angry. I've been on a few of your protests now. People were getting out their cars. At one stage, I thought there was going to be physical altercations here. I mean, what do you say to that? People are angry. They're not happy, Matthew.
We understand that people are not happy, and that's extremely understandable if they've been held up for a time. Now, fortunately, one of the roads has been released, so The delays are still going to be there, but at least people can get through eventually. It is justified to delay people for a short time because it is so important that we address the climate crisis, the people who are being killed by the climate emergency, and we have to have some action.
What about the lady trying to get to work? She's a doctor, Matthew. Surely that's not right.
Well, everybody who goes to work will have an important job, and she's gone now, obviously, because she was released, so she had a half-hour delay or something. That's not unusual for people travelling on London's roads. Now, we don't, we apologise for it, but it's a fact of life.
Okay. And in terms of continuing today, more actions later?
Yes, there are more actions planned later.
All right, Matthew. Well, there you have it. So that's Matthew from Insulate Britain. And the protesters say they're going to continue protesting for the next few days, even weeks, until they are listened to. They want British homes insulated. Now the police are shut, so we can hear people are just not happy. If we spin the camera around this way.
Have you interviewed other people?
Yeah, we have.
Greg, thank you very much indeed. We can see everybody getting very, very frustrated there on the A40 by the delays, the police intervening. And Greg talking to one of the protesters, Matthew, there, explaining why they felt what they did was the right thing. But you can see lots of people very angry this morning, causing big delays on the A40.
It sounded like some of them had superglued themselves to part of the road barrier to stop the traffic getting through. But I wonder, it looked like traffic was starting to move then, doesn't it? Maybe
Perhaps.
that's what the police